Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special episode of Hawk Blogger Mornings. I am Brian M. Hauser. You can find me TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the places at Hawk Blogger. And we got a special episode for you because the move that we thought was going to get made as of this morning is seemingly one step closer to being official. Quandre Diggs is coming home. He is going to play for your Seattle Seahawks, or at least he is going to be on the practice squad. And honestly, even if all Quandre Diggs ever does is step into that locker room, I think this is a great addition. I think it's a great addition for this team. I think it's already a fantastic locker room with a lot of quality veteran leaders that show people how to get things done. There is no harm in adding one more to that mix. And Quandre Diggs is one of the best leaders the Seahawks have ever had in that locker room. He's a guy that played quality snaps for this organization. And, you know, the idea that he can come in, what ends up working out to be essentially a trade of Jarek Reed to the Titans for Quandre Diggs. We'll talk about that more in a second, but that is how this has kind of worked out. And there's a lot of implications around this signing. We're going to talk a little bit about, you know, how Quandre's done in the games that he has played. Before we get to that, make sure you give the show a like, click subscribe, all those good things. And, you know, I want to give a special thanks to, let me make sure I got the right name here. So Lee Martineau of Haka hats sent me some hats, and we worked out you know, which ones I liked, and this is one of them. Some really great hats over there at Haka, Haka. So give them a look-see if you haven't already. And I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this on a number of levels because you know, Quandre Diggs is a guy that was easy to root for when he was here. I think kind of got lost in what was a bad time in the Pete Carroll era, in the sense that, you know, I think the money was going to the wrong parts of the defense. I think that they didn't have the guys up front to really protect a safety, especially a smaller safety like Quandre. I think he was being asked to do things that were pretty difficult in the type of defense that they had, or the types of players that they had. And ultimately he moved on. But, you know, this is a guy that has been a playmaker for the Seahawks. This is a guy, more than anything else, no matter where he has been beloved by people in the locker room. When he was in Detroit, he was a guy that people really mourned the loss of when he ended up getting traded to the Seahawks a number of years ago. He is a guy that in Seattle, you know, every single player in that locker room appreciated and liked. And then, you know, when he went to Tennessee, he's had similar impact. In fact, Kevin Winston, their rookie safety, who is a really, you know, promising player, mentioned after his game how much Quandre Diggs played a role in his development. And, you know, Quandre thanked him for that. Other guys on that Titans team have called out Quandre for his impact on them and their development as players. Think about for a second the impact we've seen from Cooper Kupp in the wide receiver room, the impact from DeMarcus Lawrence in the edge rusher room. Those guys are not only contributing to the team on the field and making, you know, this team better in that regard, but they're also demonstrating what it looks like to be a pro, how to refine your game. And I don't know that the safety room's in need of that. I think Kobe Bryant is a pro's pro. I think Julian Love is as well, but it doesn't hurt. You know, one more set of eyes, one more pro in that room. Maybe he sees something on film. Maybe he's got a previous experience with one of these players or these teams or this scheme that gives him a leg up. So I think it's a really positive move in terms of, you know, I think it's fortuitous for the Seahawks that he was available to them. And, you know, the biggest challenge most likely is Mike Macdonald's defense is not straightforward. It's not simple. And it takes some time to, you know, figure it out. Now, Quandre is very smart, knows the game as well as anybody. And if anyone can pick it up quickly, it would be him. And let's also be clear, he's signing to the practice squad. At least that's the report from Brady Henderson. Now, Quandre Diggs has said, we don't need any sources. He tweeted out, all we need is Blitz the Seahawk. And below that, he had an image that had, I think, his daughter with Blitz, with the word, the captions from, or the lyrics from the song, I'm Coming Home. So I think you don't have to be a genius to kind of piece together what's happening there. But I think this also has implications on, the health of Julian Love, the health of Ty Okada, things of that nature, and I'll talk about those as well. Got some super chats already, so let's get into those. OEL says, this is a very good signing. Glad John Schneider got it done. And then OEL says, by the way, Brian, I have a question about Shaheed. Is him getting 2 touches last game part of the game plan, or is he and Darnold not on the same page yet? That's a little bit a separate topic, I guess. But as far as for just answering and appreciating your super chat, I don't think that you can expect Sam Darnold and Shaheed to be on the same page right away. I think that the throw where it was behind Shaheed was an example where I think Darnold was hoping that Shaheed would maybe throttle down a little bit to stay in the window a little longer, or maybe even settle into it because of the zone that they were playing against him. That's an example of maybe just not being on the same page quite yet. But he was targeted well in the Rams game and almost, had one explosive play and almost had a key touchdown. So I don't think that they're intentionally avoiding Rashid Shaheed, and I think that Darnold will get more and more comfortable targeting him as time goes on. Thanks for the super chats. So a little bit more on Quandre Diggs, for maybe some people don't know as much about him, and I'll just fill in some gaps for you. This is a guy that came into the league as a nickel corner and kind of converted to a safety in Detroit and became a pretty good safety there until they hired Matt Patricia, who was a Bill Belichick disciple and basically ruined that locker room. Nobody wanted to play for him. Quandre Diggs kind of fell out of favor, I think, for speaking kind of truth to power. And I don't think Matt Patricia liked that. So they shipped Quandre Diggs off to Seattle for like a 5th round pick. It was one of the better deals of the John Schneider era. Quandre Diggs became, a Pro Bowl level corner safety for the Seahawks when he was here, and had a number of productive seasons here. He played with Seattle 4.5 seasons. First season was the second part of 2019, and he played all the way through Pete Carroll's last year in 2023. He is more of your prototypical deep safety, kind of post safety. He's 5'9", 200 pounds, so he's not the biggest guy, but he is not, going to play in the box. And one of the things that you've got right now is with Ty Okada out, or at least injured and not clear how long he's going to be injured. I got a little news on that front. But D'Anthony Bell is your only other safety right now behind, outside of Kobe Bryant. And D'Anthony Bell is not a deep safety. He is more of a box safety. And so Ty Okada was a guy that you trusted deep in the secondary. Kobe Bryant can obviously do that, but they don't have another player. Even if Nicky Manwari can play some snaps at safety, he's not your classic deep safety in the same regard. So this gives them another player that can come in potentially and, roam sideline to sideline as they need him to, or cover a little bit more ground there, depending on what kind of coverage they're in. Now, he played... he was injured last year. He played a number of games, but ended up playing 419 snaps for the Titans and had a good grade. He had a 73.2 overall grade, 70 grade in run defense, 87 grade as a tackler, which is really nice to see, given that he did have some tackling issues his last few years in Seattle. Had a 70.6 coverage grade. Those are all above average grades in that regard. And one of the things that also I failed to mention, Quandre was up for a new contract, and in the last game of the season, I want to say after 2022, maybe it's 2021, he had a pretty bad injury against Arizona, and it was pretty devastating because it seemed like he was going to lose the chance to get that extension. John Schneider did right by him and signed him to a deal, and Quandre came back and played. So, he has had a few injuries over time, including last year, but he played 328 snaps this year. He played in 9 games. He had over 30 snaps in 8 of those 9 games. And he had an overall grade of 66.1, 64.7 in run defense, 64 tackling, and 64.4 coverage. Those aren't like game-changing numbers or grades. That's fine. He had certainly was an above-average safety playing for the Titans. And again, this is a guy that you hope can pick up things with the Seahawks defense and be available as soon as possible. I don't think it's realistic that he'd be available this weekend, but who knows? I mean, he is a very smart player and a really, savvy veteran. So we'll have to kind of see how that plays out. Now, there are some other bits of news, or at least implications of this, I want to get to on the other side of this. We got a special deal going on right now that I think you're going to want to see relative to getting ready for the holidays. And this one also hopefully will make you laugh a little bit. But it's the best sleep mask I've ever had. And here's a little bit more about it. Hey, folks. I'm guessing you can see me, but I cannot see you because I am wearing the best sleep mask out there on the market, the Manta Sleep Mask. It is 100% blackout. I cannot see a thing. And one of the cool things with this model, this is the Manta Sound Sleep Mask. It's got these really cool Bluetooth speakers that adjust right over your ears, connects to your phone. You can play music, you can play white noise, whatever you like. There could be a 49ers fan right next to you. Doesn't matter. And let's face it, sometimes during the football season, you just need to recover. You need to take a nap. You need to block out the world. The Manta Sleep Mask is the best thing to do it. And if you use my code HAWKS, you will get 10% off your purchase over at Manta Sleep. Don't make the same mistake I did. Don't look at other sleep masks. Manta Sleep is the best. Buy it. You won't regret it. Genuinely, I love my Manta Sleep Mask. And I think the fact that those speakers go right over your ears and they can move around to fit you perfectly, and the eye cups can kind of adjust. It's a fantastic sleep mask. It's totally blackout. And if you don't know, there's actually been studies done. Like, blacking out light is one of the best ways to get a good night's sleep. And it's been a game changer for me. So hopefully you guys take advantage. I certainly have, and have loved my Manta Sleep Mask. So I see a couple questions in chat. I want to get to those. One of the questions was relative to how Ty Okada had graded so far this season. I can give that to you guys. So let me pull up Ty Okada's numbers real quick. And Ty Okada has had a 73.3 grade so far this year, 73.3 run defense, 68.8 for tackling, 70.6 pass rush. He's had a couple pass rush snaps, and then 69.5 coverage. So he's been very good. Like, he's been very good for the Seahawks since he took over as a starter. And honestly, if we limited like the first game of the season when he came in for an injured Nicky Manwari and was playing out of position, he had a terrible game. Outside of that, he's been very good the rest of the year. So yeah, it's a loss. But let me get to some of the news that has kind of been shared. And Brady Henderson talked about this on Twitter. He was reporting that it's not final yet with Quandre Diggs, but the expectation is that he will re-sign. Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times confirmed, just as Brady reported, that if Seattle signs Quandre Diggs, it will be to the practice squad. But the thing that Brady said toward the end of his little thread was Ty Okada missed the second half Sunday with an oblique injury. There's optimism that he'll avoid an IR stint from what I'm hearing, but he may have to miss some time. And Mike McDonald has said it's unclear if Julian Love will come off IR this week. So that's the other part of this. the bad news part of this is you probably wouldn't need to do this if Julian Love was coming back this week. So it seems pretty clear he probably won't be back this week. We talked about that a little bit this morning on the show. I think that's just getting more steam that seems to be the case. Now, Brady adds another twist. He might not even come. They might not even open his practice window this week. I don't know. Like that would be something to monitor. But Julian Love's going to come back. They're being cautious. They want to make sure that this is not something that gets re-injured. I think that's the right thing to do. At the same time, it's a bummer. I've been really, really wanting to see the Seahawks starting secondary actually on the field. Even now, we're heading into, what is it, week 13. The Seahawks secondary has played 4 snaps together. The first 4 snaps of the season. Then Nicky Manwari got hurt. Devin Witherspoon got hurt in that game. Julian Love eventually got hurt, and they've been kind of coming in and out all over the place. And so we've never seen a full game with Julian Love and Kobe Bryant and Devin Witherspoon and Nicky Manwari and Josh Jobe and Tariq Woolen all available. So, I'm looking forward to Julian Love coming back because I think he's a huge part of this secondary and a guy that I certainly believe will raise the level of this team. Now, you've got a few weeks before you're playing the Colts and the Rams and those guys where it's going to be the most critical. But hopefully we're not talking about that much longer for him to get ready and get out there. Let me get to some more super chats that I see here. We've got one from Hawks 022. Says, fun fact, Sam Darnold's first career pass was intercepted by Quandre Diggs and returned for a touchdown. I did not know that. That is a fun fact, a little more fun for Quandre than for Sam. But Quandre Diggs is a guy that has made plays in his history as a safety, and is a guy that is usually in the right place at the right time. And I think a player like him with his mind melding with Mike McDonald is a good thing. And given like the other options as well, I think that's probably as good of an option as you were going to find. To give you some idea of like his track record, let's see. So he had a streak with the Seahawks where he made 3 straight Pro Bowls from 2020 to 2022. He had 5 interceptions, and 4 interceptions in those 3 years. So, that was a really strong stretch. He had 3 interceptions in his first stint with the Seahawks. That was in 5 games. So I could probably look it up. I'm not going to do it because it's not that important. But, as far as a condensed 4-season stretch, he had as many interceptions as probably any safety the Seahawks have had during that period of time. So he can be a playmaker. He did not have an interception last year with Tennessee. He actually didn't even have a pass defensed with Tennessee, which is interesting. He has not had an interception yet this year. He has 1 pass defensed this year. So yeah, that's kind of the skinny on Quandre Diggs. Let's see. I see someone who doesn't like this move. It says bad move. Once he got paid, he made business decision after business decision. Could be a cancer. He does not. He does that on this version of the Seahawks. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There were definitely some moments where Quandre seemed to be turning down contact in supporting the run, and that was something he was pretty sensitive about when people kind of asked him about it. But one, given the fact that he had a pretty good tackling grade for the Titans last year, that seems to be in better shape. 2, you've got a much better defensive front in front of him. I think part of the challenges with Quandre is he's 5'9", 200 pounds. He's not that much bigger than me. And to put him in a situation where he needs to be run fitting as often as he had to for those teams. Remember how bad the run defense was for those teams? I don't think was great for him. And so, yes, there were some things people would qualify as business decisions, but I don't think those are going to be as common in this kind of defense. And 2, hopefully he's healthy and, will fit in with what Mike Macdonald needs his safeties to do. So I understand the concern, but I'm not as concerned about that in this regard. Comment here from Misfits says Diggs is a 4th or 5th string safety who couldn't even get a job this year. Expectations need to be in check. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, he was not a 4th or 5th string safety when he was asked. He asked for his release from the Titans so he could land on a contender like he is landing right now. I do think that people's expectations should be measured. I mean, this is a 32-year-old veteran safety who's had a few injuries. He's not going to come in here and be the Pro Bowl Quandre Diggs he was years ago. But I do think he can come in here and contribute to this team, contribute to preparation, contribute to the development of other players. He could help Nick Eamon-Warry. I think this is a point that probably people haven't thought about. Nick Eamon-Warry is an absolute sponge for learning, getting more information, becoming a better player. He goes into Mike Macdonald's office. He's asking other players questions all the time. Having Quandre Diggs there as a guy that can potentially, give him some pointers and a few things that maybe he hasn't already heard from other guys. I don't think there's any downside to this. I really don't. I don't see a downside to this move. So I think it's a really positive move. I think the Seahawks are fortunate that Diggs is available. Obviously, personally, I would have preferred to have Jarek Reed not get claimed on waivers. He's a young player with upside, and I would love to have seen him get a chance here. But outside of that, this is probably the next best thing. Okay, I think we've got an off-topic super chat. This is coming from Westy. It says, off-topic draft needs, wide receiver, defensive line, linebacker, edge. Westy, I super appreciate the super chat. I have no desire to get into draft conversation with this team. Like, we're talking about a team that's trying to win a Super Bowl. And so we'll have plenty of time to talk about draft once the season's over. But my head's just not there right now. I will say that my priorities always in the draft are going to be trenches first. And if there's any way to improve your offensive line or defensive line, that's where I will always start. And I think you can probably translate that into some things for this team right now. But I appreciate the super chat and the thought there. All right, so that's really it. I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on this. Just wanted to basically, give you guys a quick update. I will be going on Seahawks Collective tonight at 5:00 with Mike Dugar and Rob Staten and Annabelle Hasselback. I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit more at that point. Also want to make sure, if you haven't already, take advantage of the great deals we've got going on simplyseattle.com. Use code HawkBlogger15, get you 15% off. Go over to jkboots.com/HawkBlogger. Get your own special promo code if you put jkboots.com/HawkBlogger into your browser. Best deal on the best boots you will ever own. And then absolutely go over and grab the Sleeper app for a limited time. You can get $20 without even making a deposit. And if you use promo code HAWKS, you get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right, everybody. That'll do it for this episode, this special episode of Hawk Blogger Mornings. Quandre Diggs is back. We'll talk more about it soon. Until then, have a great rest of your afternoon.